So many of you people wanted me to react to this, so I'm going to react to it. Also, yeah, I got my Christmas decorations up. Fight me. What is up, Finn fans? Yeah, I got my Christmas decorations up. People decorate for Halloween in September. I don't understand why I can't decorate for Christmas on the week of Thanksgiving. And if you don't like it, you can go suck a butt. I love Christmas. This is my holiday, and I'm decorating for it. I got the tree up. I got the garland up. Merry flipping Christmas.
And a Happy New Year.
So a lot of you guys were like, hey, Doug, did you see That's Good Sports Can't Get It Out with Brandon, where his disrespected even when he's great Tua Tagovailoa video? And I haven't. No offense to Brandon. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I definitely wanted to watch it. I saw it. And so many of you guys, like, if I popped up the amount of people who told me to watch this, the screen would just be filled with comments. Told me to watch this. Like, you gotta watch it. React to it. Please react to this. So, it's Monday. Normally I do a deeper dive into the win or loss. Lately, it's been a win. But it's Monday, and there is not that. Last night I did the recap of this past Sunday. Go check that out. So we're gonna jump into this. We're gonna listen to what Brandon had to say. It's about a 20-minute video. I don't know if I'm gonna play the entire thing, just because, you know, go check out his channel if you haven't already. Subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. The man does fantastic work. But we're gonna react to this. A lot of you guys are like, "Hey, react." Here you flip and go.
Why is this mild-mannered 24-year-old one of the most polarizing, divisive quarterbacks in the NFL?
It's not wrong.
Is a lack of arm strength in the NFL the real-world equivalent of being too woke? Is it that off-putting? We have a quarterback who's returning from suspension after 24 sexual misconduct allegations, and somehow this nice kid is inspiring the most debate and gets the most people fired up on TV, on Twitter, and even in the stands of the games.
On some of the things we were saying about Tua coming out of Alabama. And guys, it's like over the top about the compliments and the things that we were able to see from him on the field.
You can throw a 5-yard pass to Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle.
Don't do that.
Take it to the house.
Don't do that.
I kind of want him to be Jimmy Garoppolo, which, by the way, Jimmy Garoppolo was part of a very successful team.
I don't know if Tyreek and Jalen are going to affect coverages as much as they would elsewhere because of the guy under center throwing the football.
Congratulations for hitting a bunch of wide open guys on broken coverage. He's still small, not very athletic.
He's not a guy that can move this offense downfield. He's turned into sort of a dink and dunk kind of quarterback.
Tyreek Hill and
Brandon, why'd you make me watch that? Why'd you make me watch that? You know how many I've avoided making videos about these people. I've avoided talking about these people. I had the one video where I kind of played the 2 clips, but I've avoided it at all costs. I haven't even heard half of that crap because it's nonsense. And you're about to talk about it. But why you gotta make me watch that for, Brandon?
Barris is a defender with Tua. Blown coverage. He does it with Patrick Mahomes. That's the greatest duo ever. Tua's got some people calling for him to win MVP, and he's got others calling him a little more than a system quarterback.
Twitter warriors, keyboard warriors, whatever you want to call them.
I like
they're not out here
so
practicing
far.
with us
Just so you know,
working hard,
Brandon's
another name for Tua.
Brandon's a Broncos fan. He covers all sports. Like I said, go subscribe to him. But he's a Broncos fan. He's not a Dolphins fan.
Drew Brees. Today, I'm going to go balls deep, trying to explain why Tua Tagovailoa is one of the most controversial and disrespected players in the league. Tua came in after attempting just 53 passes all season and started balling, tying up the game with a pair of touchdown passes. No one, though, outside of Alabama fans watching the fourth quarter of blowout games really knew who this kid was. And honestly, the most college football fans had heard about Tua was when some random Alabama fan posted about whether or not Tua would be able to overcome the language barrier when he got to Tuscaloosa. Tua, of course, grew up speaking English. All of a sudden, this kid who still had never started a game in college football had won a national championship on a walk-off touchdown. Now, it looked like after the Dolphins started the 2019 season with an 0-7 record that their quest to tank for Tua would be successful. And in a way, it was. The only twist was that Miami won 5 of their last 9 games, and Joe Burrow had supplanted Tua as the consensus #1 pick, which now belonged to the Bungles. Now, since he took Burrow #1, Miami took Tua 3rd overall, and the Chargers got laughed at when they selected Justin Herbert with the 6th overall pick. Turns out that may have been one of the best quarterback drafts since Eli, Roethlisberger, and Rivers. And that leads to a lot of Tua's polarization. He's always being compared to Joe Burrow and more directly to Justin Herbert. And honestly, the comparison is pretty fascinating. Take Justin Herbert in 2020. He starts 15 games, kind of by accident, and puts up the best rookie numbers we've ever seen from a quarterback, winning Offensive Rookie of the Year in a landslide. The only problem, he lost 9 of those 15 games, and 7 of those losses were one-score games, where they were often decided in hilarious and heartbreaking fashion. Tua did not come out of the gate and light up the stat sheet. He couldn't even light up a cigarette. He certainly didn't put up bad numbers, but 11 touchdowns and 9 starts were very modest compared to Herbert. And yet, Tua won just as many games as Herbert. And that made Tua versus Herbert a proxy for the battle over whether quarterback wins are a stat. And that's a proxy for the war between old school and new school, which is a proxy for the eternal struggle between jocks and nerds. And as a jock trapped in a nerd's body, I have no idea where I stand. And hey, I think quarterback wins are a stat. Look, they're right here on Pro Football Reference. They are indeed a stat, and of course they matter, but they also lack context. Herbert lost games at the buzzer. Tua won games that were finished by Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's a bit of context. But 2 years later, Tua and Herbert are now tied at 20 wins apiece, despite Tua starting just 29 games compared to 41 for Herbert. Tua not only won their first matchup, he outperformed Justin Herbert in that head-to-head game.
Yes.
Another side note, and I've said this a couple times lately, Bill Belichick terrorizes rookie quarterbacks.
Yes.
In Herbert's rookie year campaign, New England shut out LA 45-0 with Herbert tossing 2 picks. And Tua has never lost to Bill Belichick and the Patriots.
Correct.
Not to mention, these are 2 quarterbacks who look nothing alike physically or when they play, and even more so when they shower. Oh God, are they different. Now Herbert is He was designed in a lab, and Tua is a 6'1" Samoan lefty who's not very fast or physically imposing on any level. He's really Drew Brees with a more interesting personality. Now the film guys love Herbert. He slides up and down the pocket and makes crazy rocket-armed off-balance throws deep down the field in between defenders. Well, at least he did, until all of his receivers got hurt this season. Meanwhile, Tua makes a living with on-schedule throws in between the linebackers and safeties. His deep ball isn't all that awe-inspiring, whereas Herbert can launch Scud missiles with broken ribs. The one thing I commend both dudes for is being tough as nails, and this season is a great example of that. Tua returned from a very serious concussion, or concussions, and Herbert's ribs have been more artificially padded than the McRib. Tua can't even get injured right, though, according to the media. His primetime concussion this season was one of the biggest NFL stories of the year. He was criticized for trying to play. He was criticized for not knowing he had a concussion, and even returning from his concussion instead of retiring. I honestly think the lefty part also plays a role too, and I'm being serious. Lefty batters in baseball have beautiful looking swings, but lefty quarterbacks, the ones that are left, just look extremely awkward. If he wins MVP this year, Tua will be the first lefty to pull that off since Steve Young in 1994. And if Tua does somehow get crowned MVP, a lot of that credit should be owed to first-year head coach Mike McDaniel.
100%.
But not all of it. His first 2 years, Tua played for head coach Brian Flores, who was undoubtedly a successful head coach, but it didn't seem like they got along, at least according to reports.
Yep.
And Mike McDaniel and Tua have undeniable chemistry, especially during the game. Jason Locafora of CBS Sports reported that Flores wanted Justin Herbert instead of Tua in the 2020 draft.
But it was also then came out that he wanted an offensive lineman and then wanted to take Jordan Love later on. It's all rumors, like Brandon's saying.
There were also rumors that there was tension between Tua and Flores. Flores denied that, but there were also reports from Michael Lombardi, and take that as you will.
The conversation was, hey, if I'd have knew you were going to be this bad, I would have picked Mac Jones. That's the conversation.
I think there was a great deal of respect between the two of us.
Even McCorkle was like, I don't think I agree with that. Obviously, we know Flores wasn't thrilled with Tua at points because he pulled him for Ryan Fitzmagic multiple times. Fitzy also called Flores and Tua's relationship difficult. We do know when the Dolphins and Steelers played this season, Tua and Flores did not speak. Flores denied any tension on the I Am Athlete podcast, though.
But he didn't shake his hand. And Tua even said, I didn't talk to him. No tension, though.
And I think in a relationship like that, the coach challenges the player, and oftentimes the player challenges the coach. And I think there was a great deal of respect between the two of us.
And then he pulled out his phone and started playing my cult favorite classic movie, MacGruber, that he watched, and was like laughing with me.
Well, Colonel, looks like I got myself a new team.
Those reports surfaced after Brian Flores was fired as a way to justify a head coach getting canned after back-to-back winning seasons. Flores' firing sparked a massive controversy about race and coaching in the NFL and eventually a class action lawsuit. This video is not about that, but I bring it up to note that Brian Flores was kind of the protagonist of NFL Twitter and all of the debate shows for a few weeks, and perhaps rightfully so, but because Tua was being used as a pawn in the anti-Flores camp, I personally think that turned Tua into a burden. Maybe that's a fair narrative to describe Flores and Tua and their tenure together in Miami, but it's not a fair way to characterize Tua himself and what he's capable of as a quarterback.
Very interesting, Brandon. Very interesting. It was turned. A lot of the stuff that Brandon's saying is 100% correct, especially when it comes to the Herbert Tua thing, and now it comes to the Brian Flores Tua thing. There's these narratives that you have him versus somebody. You have Tua versus somebody. And it always makes Tua look bad. Like Tua is the one that started the me versus somebody. It's never Tua that starts the, me for, you see Justin Herbert's stats? I did better than him this game. He never does that. Or I don't like Brian Flores. Brian Flores, It's never him. People take it and turn it into that. And then a group of people rise up and don't like Tua because of what other people start.
And I think Mike McDaniel is proving that. The Dolphins currently have the most efficient passing game in the NFL in terms of net yards per attempt. The new narrative about Tua is that he is now a product of his environment. 2021 first-round pick Jalen Waddle, future Hall of Famer Tyreek Hill, offensive whiz kid Mike McDaniel, and an improved offensive line. And as of last week, just a week ago, a dangerous rushing attack. He doesn't play on offense, but also we should consider Andrew Van Ginkel getting credited for something here, damn it. But like Jack Nicholson said in The Departed,
I want my environment to be a product of me.
And I think the truth is not that this fast break Dolphins offense is making Tua look better than he is. I think this offense has unlocked everything Tua is capable of.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Brandon. Again, he is a Denver Broncos fan, but he covers the NFL, hence his name. That's good sports. He gets it. You put any quarterback in this system. He gets it. Brandon gets it. I'm so glad you guys told me to.
He's incredible within structure, which people think is a dig, but it's not. There are some quarterbacks who are amazing out of structure, but can't execute the play as it's called. I'm thinking a little bit about Zach Wilson at BYU. I'm thinking about Russell Wilson right now. Then you have players who can do both. The Allens, the Rodgerses, the Mahomeses of the NFL. But you can win with players who execute a great play caller script if you can occasionally extend a play. And I think that describes Tua perfectly. It also describes Joe Burrow, but he doesn't seem to get much heat, does he?
You get four Italian kisses.
Well, I guess a trip to the Super Bowl with the Bengals will do that. Some offenses are better with facilitators who have an innate sense of timing and rhythm, and perhaps most importantly, make sound decisions. That's something Tua's always done pretty well. Yeah. While it's nice and can stretch a defense, not every playbook requires a rocket-armed passer. Yep. Just like every pregnancy doesn't require a 9-inch penis. Watch Tua's leap from 20...
I'm not prepared for that. I wasn't prepared.
That's where he got better, especially with the addition of Jalen Waddle in the passing game. Then another leap from year 2 to 3, just like, Josh Allen, who also had a team that stuck with him. But to dispel the notion that it's just the offense and that anyone could succeed in it, let's look at...
I'm ready for this. I just talked about it. I'm ready for this, Brandon. I'm going to buckle myself in.
The Dolphins with Tua and without Tua. When Tua starts and finishes a game this season, the Fins are 7-0. They are 0-3 when either Teddy Bridgewater or Skylar Thompson plays the majority of the game. Tua is completing 71% of his passes, while Teddy B and Skylar Thompson are at 62 and 57% respectively. Their sack percentages are 9 and 6%. Tua's just 3.1. The backups have combined for 3 touchdowns and 4 picks. Tua's at 18 touchdowns and 3 picks. The offense isn't just better with Tua. It's light years ahead of anyone else who's taken a snap for Miami this year.
Thank you. Well, that's because he didn't have Teron Armstead at left tackle. Tua didn't have Teron Armstead at left tackle against the Steelers. There's games Tua didn't have Teron Armstead. There's games Teron Armstead had to leave the game. Any quarterback could play in this, and I've heard it. I've heard it on Twitter. I've heard it in the comment sections. I've heard it, and it always makes me laugh. Because did you not, with your own eyeballs, see the 3 games that we lost? Yeah, but that's because they didn't get to play with the ones. That is the worst excuse I've ever heard in my entire life, because they didn't get to have any reps with the ones. The worst excuse I've ever heard in my entire life. Magically, the playbook is completely different when you're playing with the 2s versus the 1s. Magically, it's different. It actually was easier because you're like, oh, on this play, normally Craycraft isn't as open as Tyreek Hill. I could get the ball to him quicker. It's easier.
People also believe that Tyreek Hill's numbers would suffer in this offense with Tua. And here's what's happened. He's on pace for 1,952 receiving yards this season, which would be 4 more than Cooper Kupp last year. And I'm not trying to say that Tua is better than Patrick Mahomes. But God, I pray for that scenario to be true. I'm just saying that people weeping for Tyreek Hill's diminished numbers with Tua versus Mahomes were extremely wrong. And when Tyreek Hill said,
Tua is that deal, bro. He has an arm. He has a heck of an arm, bro. He's accurate. He can throw the deep ball. Tua or Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, like I'm gonna go with 1.5 as the strongest arm, but as far as accuracy wise, I'm going with Tua all day.
He wasn't just filleting his QB. One thing many strong-armed quarterbacks do struggle with is touch, not Tua. It's an incredibly underrated part of a passing game, and it's why wherever people go, people want Tua to touch them. Also why Deshaun Watson is so envious of him. Now, it's also not like the Dolphins run the ball especially well. They're just 24th in yards per carry, and that's heavily aided by their 195-yard performance on the ground last week against the Browns. Tua's environment is
Product of me.
the final reason Tua is so polarizing. It's his defenders. Be polarizing, you need a push and a pull scenario. And I think the pushing force are the detractors, and the pull is from Dolphins fans, some Bama fans, and they're better known by a different name. Tuanon.
Mina Kimes, Tua almost throws picks. Okay, what is that?
Clever name, but not one that's going to garner you a lot of sympathy from the media in 2022.
I think QAnon, or just Dolphins fans in general, is like one of the most successful bullying campaigns in the history of sports fandom. Because I have noticed that people are tiptoeing around Tua now.
Tuanon, Tua stands, it's not Tua good to be Trua, whatever you want to call them. They're pretty ferocious in defense of their quarterback. And some of that makes sense because I think the slander against Tua has been aggressive as well. He's been called a system quarterback, Tua turn the ball over, noodle arm, face, loser, and virgin. Sorry, I'm getting a couple of those confused with what I was called in high school. Anyway, we need to meet in the middle. Okay, is Tua a prototypical quarterback with elite tools and high-level playmaking ability? No, he's not. Is that okay? Yes it is. Because sometimes that shit is overrated. And just getting the ball in stride to the fastest playmakers in the NFL is extremely underrated. So to recap, this is why Tua is so disrespected. He doesn't have a cannon for an arm. And the two girls drafted around him were way, way hotter. This is a Hall of Fame throw by a Hall of Fame QB. This is a weak-armed throw by an average QB getting carried by his receiver. This underthrown deep ball caught by his receiver is luck. These underthrown deep balls getting flagged for pass interference are great throws by savvy QBs. A lot of it really comes down to the fact that Tua doesn't wow you when he throws the football, which is not fair. The truth, as always, lies somewhere in the middle, but if this is a spectrum with believers and skeptics on either side, I believe in Tua. He might even win a Super Bowl before Josh Allen. There, I said it.
He's neck and neck with Patrick Mahomes as the MVP.
Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. Check out the XFL video I dropped yesterday. And don't forget, I'll be live streaming the Broncos game on Sunday.
Couldn't have said it better myself. He literally could not have said it better. If you have any, I'm gonna, in the comment section, if anyone says anything that he literally disproved, I'm just gonna tell them to rewatch the video. Because at this point, I'm not wasting my breath anymore. Just rewatch the video. Oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, or whatever. Just rewatch the video. Plain and simple. From now on, I'm gonna send the video to them. Oh, two of them, here, just watch this video. Brandon, you are the man. First off, thank you for coming on the channel doing the picks with me a few weeks ago. Second of all, thank you so much for doing this video and shutting a lot of people up. Third of all, you're beautiful. Thank you, Brandon. I'll see you guys tomorrow. What am I going to do? I don't know. I don't have film to break down, but you know you're going to get videos from me. Well, usual, stay classy. If it's up.